The Y-Hub Circle was organized in 1892. It was a literary club. They had dinner, then 2 literary papers were read, at least 2. Y-Hub stands for wife, husband, and that's the only way to be a member. It was a long time before home movies were possible, so we don't have a moving picture record of what those early Y-Hubbers were like. But in 1926, C.V. Crockett became a home movie addict, and thanks to him, Y-Hubbers got a film. Our thanks go to him for these early films of the Y-Hubbers in pictures. Susy Rhodes was the president. She was also a school teacher. I know she was a good one because I had her in junior high school. John Rhodes, her husband, was an insurance man, and I suppose he spent some time in the insurance business. But his first love was race horses. He spent a lot of time racing horses and taking care of horses. But he also had another hobby. I'm not sure what it is, whether it's training a dog or trying to go hunting, but that was another hobby John had. This is their home on West Hendrick Street in Shelbyville. The deputy president, that's the vice president, was Eden Thurston. This is their home on West Broadway. His wife, Carolyn, and she was about the nicest thing Eden ever had. This is their super heterodyne radio, which meant in that day you had to be rich to own one of those things. Their children are Arthur and Carol. We don't know the dog's name. Eden and Carol Thurston are the only 50-year members of Y-Hub, at least up to now. The scribe, and that means the secretary, was Fanny Gutting. One requirement, she had to be able to read and write. These are the Gutting sons, Steve and Phil. Now, Steve and Phil were good fighters, and they really put on a show for the camera. They grew up to be Shelbyville High School basketball players and really great athletes. The son, Paul, was no fighter. He was just a real nice little kid. I don't know who the dog was. This is their home on Southwest Street. It looks just the same today. Leo Gutting, the husband, got a separate take in the movies. He was a real tall one, and you can see why he produced good basketball players. keeper of the shekels, of course, was the treasurer of the club. That's Mary Crockett. We don't know how much money the club had. That's not important. The one thing we're sure of, she looks like a good housewife. And they tell me that she was one of the best Sunday school teachers the Presbyterian Church ever had. Now, Clarence Crockett, her husband, will appear later in the films. He's the photographer. The slate maker, I suppose, means in charge of club politics. And that was Mildred Sexton. Mildred was the wife of Horatio Sexton, a Shelbyville dentist. They were charter members of the Y-Hub Circle. Horatio died just before the movies were made. The lady with Mildred in these pictures is her mother, Mrs. Bookwalter, and the photos were taken in front of their home on Mechanic Street. The old Shelby County Courthouse. And this is Judge Harry C. Morrison. If you went to court in that day, he would be your judge. This is their home on South Harrison Street, which is now a shopping center. His wife, Laura Morrison, had a sincere love and interest in children, and that's why the city named its park the Laura Morrison Park. They had several children. One daughter tells the story that the most fun they ever had was when their parents hosted Y-Hub, and the girls spent their time trying on the ladies' hats up in the second floor. Well, this is Will Yarling, whose name really is Senator Yarling, and he's photographed here with his wife, Elva Yarling, at their home on West Hendrick Street. Their children in the pictures are Mary Ellen and Bill. These are the Jones twins, Marilyn and Charlotte. And I think they're photographed here with their dog, Sandy. You'll see their parents just a little bit later. Their parents and the Y-Hub members are Helen Perkins Jones and T. Dorsey Jones. Dorsey Jones was an executive in the furniture manufacturing business, a very important industry in Shelbyville. The best thing he ever produced was the twins. Y-Hubbers should always have a doctor. This is Dr. Paul Tindle, his office on East Franklin Street, and then his home on West Franklin Street. His wife, Willie Tindle. Now, I think the old Chevy coupe must have surely been used just for house calls. There isn't room enough for anything more in the car. CV called these the Y-Hub babies. They're the daughters of Carl and Mary Lamb Depry. It's Mary Lamb Jr., Margaret Emily, and Anne. Carl and Mary Lamb joined in 1925, and Carl died 1 year later. Mary Lamb, the mother, joins them in the picture. This is their home at Mechanic and West Streets. Frank Rembush was the movie king. He was the owner of the old Alhambra Theater in the 20s and 30s. I got to see Bill Hart movies there every Saturday afternoon. That's the old Alhambra. This is their home on South Harrison Street, now the Murphy Mortuary. Grace Rembush, his wife, and Frank were both musicians. I'm just sorry that we can't hear what they're playing. Their son Truman wound up in the movie business too, and operated a number of movies in small towns in southern Indiana. Shelbyville Trust Company used to occupy the corner of the public square. This is John Messick. Some said he was the owner of the Shelbyville Trust Company. One thing for sure, he was the operator of it. He's joined here with his wife, Alpha Rebecca Messick, and their daughter, Mary Frances Walker. And these photographs were taken in front of their home on West Mechanic Street. It would be nice not to have any gas bills to pay. John Chambers was the inventor of the Chambers fireless cooker, and he was the founder of the Chambers Corporation. He was truly a scientific man. His business developed into one of the best that Shelbyville ever had. The fireless cooker was supposed to cook with the gas turned off, and now he's giving us a demonstration. His wife, Elizabeth Chambers, is going to show us how it really works. Their daughter is Alma Chambers. If you don't know Alma Chambers, you've never been around. Tom Yarling was the first farmer in Y-Hub. He really worked at it. His wife, Grace Yarling, was not only beautiful, but she was a real humorist. The Yarlings were Y-Hubbers for many years. Their sons, John and Bob. John was the first Shelby County man to give his life in World War II. Elmer Bellman was in the canning business, but the most important thing to me was the humorous programs that he gave in Y-Hub when I was privileged to be a member. This is their home on East Mechanic Street. His wife, Louisa Bellman, is the sole survivor of the 1926 pictures. She now lives in North Carolina. The most important thing about Louisa is that she made such delicious quince preserves. You'll see that in the 1964 movies. Their children here are Elmer Jr., Martha, and Joe. Now we can finally get to the Crocketts. Mary Crockett, the treasurer, and Clarence Crockett, the photographer. This is their son, Clarence Jr., that everybody calls Sonny. He's driving a Buick, but in a few years he became president of the Cadillac division of General Motors. And this is their family getting together. Thanks to CV and his hobby, even working in the snow. Without him, there would be no Y-Hub movies. Now you can get ready for Y-Hub 1964-65, those of you who are still awake.